When the history of hip-hop music is explored in documentaries, the women who helped pioneer the genre are often excluded in the conversations by culture historians. The truth is, some of the most important figures in hip-hop are women. They played a major role in laying down the foundation for the genre, but somehow, their contributions to hip-hop are often erased. This is the history of women in hip-hop and the first female rappers people don't talk about. Hip-hop first started off as just a culture and experience before the famous term was coined. It was shaped by African Americans and Caribbean people living in the Bronx borough of New York City in the early 1970s. The neighborhood was riddled with street gangs and violent crimes, but music and block parties brought the community together. DJs were inspired by funk and disco music and started mixing hard soul songs by James Brown with blaring drums. They used breakdowns in songs to create new tunes. DJ Kool Herc popularized this technique, which would later be known as hip-hop. His block parties and park jams were extremely popular in the neighborhood, and other DJs followed his theme and threw their own parties. But there is a little-known fact that DJ Kool Herc's sister, Sydney Campbell, was actually the one who came up with the idea of a back-to-school block party in an effort to make money in 1973. Cindy produced and financed all of the parties, making her the first party promoter ever. To cut costs, she hired her brother to DJ the event, and together, the siblings would continue to throw street parties. Cindy managed her brother's career and later helped him land his first movie role in Beat Street. The jams attracted local street dancers who Kool Herc started referring to as breakdancers, or for short, B-boys or B-girls. Master of Ceremonies, or MCs for short, spoke rhymes in between songs to hype up the audience before introducing the DJs. This technique would later be known as rapping. Before they knew it, the craze had spread across America to other predominantly black inner cities, and hip-hop became not only a genre, but also a culture. What most culture historians fail to mention is women were also DJing and throwing parties. Guys were forming their own hip-hop collectives, and so were women. In the mid to late 1970s, the first known all-female hip-hop collective was formed as the sister group of Grand Wizard Theodore and the L Brothers. The group, called Mercedes Ladies, was formed in 1976 and was made up of 6 teenage girls, 2 DJs, and 4 MCs by the names of DJ RD Smiley, DJ Baby D, Tracy T, Zena Z, Eva Def, and Sherry Cher. The all-female collective would throw their own parties, but the girls would soon be faced with challenges because of their gender. We were all from the Bronx and all from single-parent homes. We used to go to the corner store to watch Grandmaster Flash and all of them. At the time, we were really young and we decided to form a female group. It was actually RD, Lil B, Tracy T, and me. We would see the guys with females in their entourage, but we didn't really see no female empowerment. From the very beginning, the goal was to be independent and fly. We started going to parties and we didn't want to be up under no males, but we had to think of a powerful name. Mercedes was a classic car, and we thought ladies was very powerful, so we came up with the name Mercedes Young Ladies. But it was a struggle. We were getting a lot of street popularity because we were putting our work in from corner to corner. Then they started setting up shows for us and everything, but we would never get paid. The promoters would pay the L Brothers and Grandmaster Flash, but when it was time to pay the Mercedes Ladies, we didn't get paid. We started going through managers until we were almost about to beat up the managers." End quote. Lady B released the first hip-hop recording ever by a female rapper, and Mercedes Ladies were featured on Donald D's recording of Don's Groove in the early 1980s.
With me and I don't mess with nobody. At the age of 1, I was having fun. I was listening to the...
In 1979, Sylvia Robinson founded Sugar Hill Records with her husband Joe as the first hip-hop record label, although most people would credit Russell Simmons' Def Jam as the first hip-hop label. She named the label after the Sugar Hill neighborhood of Harlem, which was a wealthy black neighborhood. Sylvia was a singer, songwriter, and record producer from Harlem, New York, a daughter of immigrants from St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. In 1957, she recorded the R&B chart-topping song Love is Strange as part of the Mickey and Sylvia duo. In the 1960s, she focused most of her attention on writing and producing songs like It's Gonna Work Out Fine by Ike and Tina Turner, which earned them their first Grammy Award nomination in 1962. In the late 60s, Sylvia and her husband Joe, who was a music executive, started their own record label, built their own recording studio, and built a popular black nightclub. Sylvia produced and penned many hits for her artists like Love on a Two-Way Street by The Moments and Shirley and Company's Shame, Shame, Shame. She also wrote and recorded her 1973 solo hit song Pillow Talk, which reached #1 on the R&B chart and #3 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Sometime in the late 1970s, Sylvia was at a nightclub when she heard Lovebug Starsky rapping over the breakdown of Good Times by Chic. She made her son Joey go around New Jersey looking for guys to rap a song for her. The three guys, Henry Big Bank Hank Jackson, Guy Master G O'Brien, and Michael Wonder Mike Wright, came back to her studio, where she instructed them to rap some rhymes written by Grandmaster Caz along to the Chic instrumental, just like she had heard Starsky rapping at the nightclub, and that's how the Sugar Hill Gang was born. Sylvia sent the 15-minute song titled Rapper's Delight to radio stations, and it was an instant hit.
I'm the Grand Master with the 3 MCs that shop the house for the young ladies, and when you come inside.
There has always been a lot of controversy surrounding Rapper's Delight and Sugar Hill Gang because real rappers in New York felt ripped off, and the composers of the Chic song, Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards, sued for copyright infringement. They were later awarded writing credits. Grandmaster Caz said, "They weren't real MCs. They were a group put together to showcase the music going on." Rapper's Delight was the first commercial hip-hop song ever. It introduced the new genre to a wide audience, reaching the top 40 in the United States, as well as the top 3 in the United Kingdom and #1 in Canada. After the backlash and success, Sylvia signed a number of hip-hop acts and groups to Sugar Hill Records. Shaw Rock was the first known female MC. She was a local breakdancer, or B-girl, who joined the hip-hop group Funky 4+1 in 1979, with her being the +1.
People out there, we want y'all to know we are the ones with the magical show. We're 2 DJs and 5 MCs, 4 other fellas +1 is...
The collective signed a deal with Sugar Hill and released the 2 minor hits, Rapping and Rockin' in the House, and That's the Joint.
We're gonna do some class. We're gonna do our best. We're gonna make it last. We got rhymes on our minds. We got this record. And don't you forget, that's the joint.
Through the Funky Four, MC Shaw Rock was the first female rapper to appear on television and have a record deal. On February 14th, 1981, they performed on Saturday Night Live, hosted by Debbie Harry of Blondie.
Bronx, the Funky Four plus one more.
Debbie invited the group to open up for Blondie on tour, but Shaw found out she was pregnant. In 1984, MC Shaw Rock made a guest appearance in the Harry Belafonte directed hip-hop film Beach Street.
Romance to the moon if your timing is right. Get your back wet, all soaked this wet. He says I'm the kind of girl that he could never forget.
Back in 1979, a female rap trio from Columbia, South Carolina was formed by childhood friends Cheryl the Pearl Cook, Gwendolyn Blondie Chisholm, and Angie Stone. Yes, that Angie Stone. One day, they attended a Sugar Hill Gang show and rapped for the group along with Sylvia Robinson backstage. They signed a deal with Sugar Hill Records, and in no time, they released their first single and biggest hit to date titled Funk You Up.
I keep going, did you give up? I keep going, I keep going. We're gonna funk you right on up, we're gonna funk you right on up.
This made them the first female rap group to sign to a major label and go gold. Funk You Up was later sampled by Dr. Dre for his 1995 single, Keep Their Heads Ringin', and they later sued Bruno Mars and Mark Ronson for infringing the song on their Uptown Funk record.
Uptown Funk You Up, Uptown Funk You Up, I said Uptown.
Over in the 80s, there was a female rapper renaissance upon the horizon. In 1983, the first motion picture depicting hip-hop culture was written and directed by Charlie Ahern. The film, titled Wild Style, depicted all elements of the culture during those times, like graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, and of course, rapping. While women were often being excluded in the early days, the film managed to display women partaking in some of those elements. Queen Lisa Lee of Zulu Nation can be seen in a deleted scene rhyming.
In the house then, Cold Crush 4 in the house then, Fantastic 5 in the house then.
Lisa was a Bronx native who started rapping at the age of 13 after hearing African Bambaataa and Disco King Mario performing back in the 70s. A year later, when the other hip-hop film Beat Street was released, Lisa did a music performance in the film along with MC Shaw Rock and Debbie D as part of a group called Us Girls.
Us girls can boogie too. So come on, girl.
DJ Wanda D was also featured in the film. Unfortunately, the male-dominated genre was starting to move in a more misogynistic direction. In 1984, the hip-hop trio UTFO released a single titled Hangin' Out. The B-side of the record was a song titled Roxanne, Roxanne, a song about a woman who constantly ignores their advances. One day, 3 promoters were upset that UTFO had canceled a performance for a show they were promoting. A 14-year-old rapper named Lolita Shantae Gooden overheard their conversation and offered to make a diss track to get back at the group. Lolita, a member of the Juice Crew, was from Queens and started rapping at age 9. The guys took her up on her offer, and producer Marley Marl produced the track titled Roxanne's Revenge, with her using the nickname Roxanne Shantae.
He came up to me with some crabbish rap, but let me tell you something, don't you know it was whack. So when he came up to
Roxanne's Revenge became a hit with over 250,000 copies sold in the New York area alone, and this kicked off the infamous Roxanne Wars. Even though there were so many female MCs at the time, Roxanne Shantae became the first one to gain commercial popularity. UTFO retaliated with a track featuring Elise Jack, who used the moniker The Real Roxanne.
Roxanne, the Lady Devastator, I make it feel hotter than it is in Grenada.
There was also a response from another female rapper named Sparky D. After that, a lot of copycats jumped on the Roxanne bandwagon looking to gain fame. With the popularity of Roxanne Shantae came a rise in female rap visibility. But men treated hip-hop music as a boys' club. They took women in the genre as a joke and only saw them as rivals. In no time, the second half of the decade became the golden era for female rappers, and they quickly exploded in the scene.
It's not male-dominated anymore. It's co-ed, should I put it.
They like to say, would you rather be considered as a rapper or as a female rapper? Right. And at this point, I'd like to be considered as a female rapper.
When you are a female rapper and you come out there into a male-dominated field, you have to come strong. You have to come completely correct, because if you don't, forget it.
I used to be in love with this guy named Sam. I don't know why, cause he had the head like that of a clam.
I've always written my own material because we want to show men that not only can we rap, but we can rap what we write.
I said, slow down, I know you want to shake me.
The first set of mainstream women MCs went the conscious route, focusing on Black pride, raising awareness for social issues, and uplifting other women. Some of the other women acts who broke out were Moni Love, Lady Crush, Pebbly Pooh, Antoinette,
Now here we go, hug your stereo. We might pump a jump around, from rust to sound, beat it down, run it in the ground and pick up they yard.
Cassadine, DJ Jazzy Joyce, and Sweet Tea. In 1987, MC Lyte became the first solo female rapper to sign a major recording deal, the first to release a full studio album, achieve gold certification, and the very first female rapper to be nominated for a Grammy Award. She was raised in the East Flatbush neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, and began rapping at age 12. By 16 years old, she had landed a recording contract with Atlantic. In 1988, MC Lyte was featured on the remix of the pop rock song I Want Your Hands on Me by Irish singer Sinead O'Connor. The following year, she released her debut album Light as a Rock. She eventually went on to collaborate with a number of mainstream artists. Then Salt-N-Pepa and DJ Spinderella welcomed sex appeal into female rap. In 1985, Salt-N-Pepa were residing in Queens, New York, and met while studying nursing at Queensboro Community College. From there, they became best friends and co-workers at Sears. They became rappers after being asked by producer Herbie Azor, which required them to record a response to a song by Dougie Fresh. The group was originally named Supernature and included a DJ named LaToya Hanson. The track titled The Showstopper generated airplay, and the single reached number 46 on the Billboard R&B chart.
What's this, Sandy B? Yeah, what's up? Have you ever been to jams where people just stand? They pay.
The duo, who renamed themselves as Salt-N-Pepa, released their debut album in December 1986. A few months later, they were forced to look for a new female DJ after LaToya Hanson missed a few shows and appearances. One up-and-coming DJ by the name of Wendy Williams auditioned for the position, but a 15-year-old named DJ Spinderella would land the job. On March 8, 1987, they released their breakout hit, Push It, one of the most recognizable rap songs ever. The song is ranked number 446 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, and was ranked number 9 on VH1's 100 greatest songs of hip-hop. Salt-N-Pepa went on to garner more success with hits like Let's Talk About Sex, Shake Your Thang, and What a Man. On the rise was another rap duo from Queens named Finesse and Sinquis. They were the first ladies of Andre Harrell's Uptown Records and Uptown Crew, which also included Groove B Chill, Heavy D and the Boys, Marlon Williams, The Brothers Black, and Woody Rock. Their 1988 single and album titled Soul Sisters were moderately successful, as well as their 1990 song Straight from the Soul. But somehow, Finesse and Sinquis seem to be erased from the history of Uptown Records and Uptown Crew. Across the pond in England finding chart success was twin sisters Sandra and Samantha of We Papa Girl.
I'm telling you this because I love your kids.
Their 1988 song, We Rule, charted within the top 20 in at least 9 countries.
Bass drum is hitting at a hardcore beat. Don't bother even move to stay right in your seat.
Also from London was the Cookie Crew, who gained recognition in 1987 when they appeared on the first ever hip-hop house track, Rock the House, with the Beatmasters.
This is our time. We got a message, go for you, go for the headline. This is a story of how I made it here. I take the stand and explain this for one. I persevere on a higher.
Another all-female hip-hop act that is often erased from history is JJ Fad. They were one of the original acts signed to Eazy-E's Ruthless record label. Their 1988 breakout hit song, Supersonic, is partially responsible for putting Ruthless Records on the map, even though NWA is usually the only one credited for doing so. Director F. Gary Gray and Dr. Dre also failed to mention this in the Straight Outta Compton biopic.
Chicks that are rocking your world, supersonic.
Supersonic peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot Dance Club Play Songs and number 22 on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Singles and Tracks chart. It stayed on the dance charts for 8 weeks and was certified gold. JJ Fad got nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance in 1989, making them the first all-female rap group to be nominated for a Grammy Award. Their 1988 album of the same name eventually went platinum. A lot of female hip-hop acts didn't stick around long in the industry because record labels weren't willing to invest in music videos and marketing to keep them successful. To close out the decade was a 19-year-old beatboxer who went by Queen Latifah. Her debut single, Ladies First, featuring London rapper Moni Love, was a feminist anthem, and its Afrocentric themed music video put a spotlight on some of the most monumental black women who paved the way for future generations.
A woman could bear you, break you, take you. Now it's time to rhyme. Can you relate to?
Her debut album, All Hail to the Queen, sold more than 1 million copies, and years later, her single, UNITY, earned her first Grammy Award in 1995 for Best Rap Solo Performance. In the 90s and 2000s decades, female rappers were everywhere and succeeding at the same time. They continue to break gender barriers through sexual liberation, body positivity, feminist storytelling, and genuine sisterhood. Sadly, the number of female rappers signed to major labels dropped from 40 to just 3 in the 2010s decade. But in this new decade, the 2020s, there has been a resurgence of women in hip-hop. If you're a person who's interested in female rap history, please check out the platforms listed in the description box. My personal favorite is The Gumbo by Nadira Simmons. Please list some names of some other female MCs who don't get the recognition in the comments below. Like this video and make sure you subscribe to Black Femininity TV for more content.